Ricky certainly jumping out, and yes, it's going to be Jeff Gordon jumping in to see his first action of the day.
Boy, they got that done beautifully. Timed it to perfection. The fuel came out, the nozzle came out, and Gordon dropped the hammer, and all three Cadillac came in, did the stop, and have exited to absolute perfection.
Looks like Jeff Gordon will be taking over the 10. Jeff's doing an awesome job. I mean, his lap times are right in the ballpark in terms of most of the front runners. It was a great effort by him adapting to these conditions. Meanwhile, Ricky Taylor has now worked his way back onto the tail of Felipe Albuquerque. Oh, this is intense. Trying to get it done. There's just no grip on the high side. It's only a matter of time. Can he find a way by? I think he's got the better car. He just needs to be patient, but how patient can you be? Albuquerque is easy on the brakes, and Ricky just releases that brake pedal like Dirk Mueller did, but he was not close enough, guys. He was not close enough to make that move. It was a bit clumsy.
Looks like he's got enough. Ricky Taylor, Wayne Taylor Racing, and Cadillac win at Daytona!
What an amazing experience. This experience wouldn't have been the same without Wayne and his passion for this series, for this race. Cadillac and Delar for this amazing race car. Not just a fast car and a beautiful car, but the strongest car I've ever seen in my life, because I tried to damage the left front, of course, the contact there at the end, but I'm just so honored to be a part of this.
On 2 stints which were 21 laps, so there's no reason to be running out of fuel. It looks more like an electronic problem to me.
Let's go down to Nick Damon. The top 3 are in the pits.
And the 31 car, the Action Express car, has had its stop severely compromised by the 5. And the number 4 Corvette is making an emergency stop because, of course, the pits are not open for the GTLMs this time. So number 4 has had to make a quick stop and go. That's the car that's come out through. To my left, the Wayne Taylor racing car has made a driver change, so Ricky Taylor's got out. And now off they go, the 10 is away, and the 5, the 31, interestingly, the 31's got away again. I'm not sure whether he managed to get that much fuel in, but he was at the wrong angle, but they've all trolled off together. But of course, the big news there is the 4, the Corvette, has had to make an emergency stop.
And that means he'll have to come in again once we go green.
And the number 31 car has beaten the number 5 car out of the pit lane.
And they're all being held at the end of pit lane, Jeremy, as the line goes through. But that's not going to hurt them.
No, that's
not going to hurt them.
Yep.
Paul, just going back to that rebellion, so that wasn't a fuel issue on that car because it should have had fuel in the tank, correct?
Well, that's certainly going on the length of time it had been out on the track. It shouldn't have been a fueling problem. If, of course, it hadn't got its full amount of fuel in on its previous stop, I can't tell. But the previous stop was a little bit longer. And as I mentioned, that did suggest to me, at least, that there was a problem that they were trying to work their way around. So it certainly hadn't done enough laps to have run out of fuel if it had been fully fueled at its previous stop.
So I've seen the guys in race control looking at the Scott Pruitt incident. I can look through the glass wall. Absolutely certain it is as we called it, and there wasn't any contact there. But what I still haven't been able to work out in my mind, whether there was something already broken on that car before Scott hit the wall. Let's head down to Jim, who has a little more for us.
The JDC number 25, one of the cars that's moved up from the PC category to the prototype category for this year, came into the pits. He was in a while ago, but came in on this caution and changed the rear deck. So I think that's an extra stop for him, but he did come in and change the rear deck, new wing, and everything else.
And what is also interesting about that is the number 85 car, by making that pit stop, kind of eschewed the opportunity to regain a lap here, get it back on the lead lap with everybody else. That was one of the cars that was 1 lap down to the what should have been 4, but now only 3 leads. Number 13 car stopped out on track. There were 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars there at 1 lap down. The rest of them stayed out. So they now, once the GT cars have made their pit stops, there'll be another wave around as everybody else. But they will be back on the lead lap.
Yes, absolutely right, Jeremy. So strategically here, not helping a number of these cars, particularly the GTs, as they're
Pit rating to 62
Ferrari. Colado has gotten in. Tony Vilander has gotten out. They've changed all 4 tires and fuel. This was the car that gave the Fords fits at Le Mans to the point where it almost got political and nasty, and he's been keeping pace with them here. Also, the number 73 Porsche is in and out of first position.
Daytona International Speedway plays host to the 55th running of the Rolex 24 here at the circuit on 107.9 FM. XM 204, Sirius 136, and of course our scanner frequency 454, as well as on the IMSA app if you have to move away from your computer or wherever it is in your home that you're watching and listening to us. Don't forget that IMSA app, download it to your smartphone. There are 3 different versions for the 3 major operating systems, and it's absolutely free to download, and there are no in-app purchases required. You can also get most of that information on imsa.com, and the streaming sound and vision is at radiolemans.com, as well as part of the Radio Show Limited network of motorsport. Hashtag Rolex 24 here as we are working this caution, and a couple of cars going very slowly. That's one of the, now is that the GRT Lamborghini going into, it's going so slowly in fact that the Porsche that was behind it has decided that it's going slow enough to be able to go by.
And sometimes that ends up being under green, sometimes it's not. In this case, it wasn't. Now we're seeing some other cars come in. We're seeing the 2 Patron Nissans come down the pit lane, the 2 and the 22, but they are going by their pit. No, they are coming in. The 81 is coming in, as is the
cars back in the train, and bear in mind that the leaders are just tucked in behind a couple of the back markers. The 70 car is away though, and will be held at the end of the pit lane. So Jeff Gordon in the number 10 car about to resume as so he's already left, and we've got therefore the back markers being swapped, Jeremy.
Yeah, what happened there is that once the pass around happened, the next class leader in the line takes the restart at the head of the pack. I don't like that rule personally. I'd much rather wait till they get the overall race leader up there, but those are the rules. So that is why number 29 kite was led out to turn 4 towards the green flag. Then of course he got absolutely swamped by everybody.
Basically everyone being told to get racing again, and there just wasn't room for the 70 car to find any track space at all. There was contact, and it resulted in a spin for the 70 car at the International Horseshoe, and that's the result. The 70 car can get back up and running, as you say though, cold Continental tyres beneath it, and that is the result. So the 70 car rejoining, and which car did it make contact with? It was the 10.
Oh,
the 10
it was
car.
Jeff Gordon.
Correct. And that's the issue for me. Why was the pit lane not closed when you've got a restart? And it's just, there is no space for a rejoining car there. I mean, Jeff Gordon went a little bit too hot into the corner, I think. Did he miss the apex? Yes, he did. He was never going to get around that corner anyway,
no,
to be fair.
No, and again, for me, that is a function of the fact that we didn't have the leaders at the front of the pack at the restart, because it's all mayhem in there. And you know, we didn't need the slower cars in the middle of that restart, so that was really unfortunate, and we'll see what damage there is to Jeff Gordon's car. Also, as the schmozzle of cars came towards the green flag, Seb Morris was able to grab the lead from Jeff Gordon, and now he is in the lead of this race, and he is out well ahead of the pack right now, because that was a great restart there by Seb Morris.
Well, they build these Cadillacs incredibly strongly, because I can't see any damage on the front left corner. Maybe a dive plane has gone missing, but otherwise that splitter looks like it's remained intact, and certainly the 10 car can get up to speed on the banking with the car looking still relatively stable, with Jeff Gordon at the wheel, but having slipped to 3rd position now as a result of that crazy restart. Seb Morris leads then in this Cadillac trio out front from Christian Fittipaldi and Jeff Gordon. 4th position is Ryan Dalziel in the next best manufacturer being Nissan in the number 2 car, and then we have the master Jonathan Bomarito in 5th place, Jeremy.
Indeed we do, and so we've now got the number 70 car is a lap down now to the leaders in the 10th position. Yeah, along with Misha Goikberg at number 85. So we've now got 8 cars on the lead lap as a result of that. And the order now is kind of settling down just a little bit. You can see Misha Goikberg on the tail of Jeff Gordon going up onto the banking. And Gordon is running now in the third place. The first time he's driven a prototype. The last time he did this race was 2007, also with the with Wayne Taylor's team. It's now running under a different name, but it's a Jeff has been so excited about this opportunity. And talking about that team and the last time that it did this race, the race engineer for the number 10 car is
most of the nights. So yeah.
And this is the parent in me. I notice you're very hot and sweaty. You're going to have to watch Catching a Cold. You've gotten out of the car, your back's very sweaty. You need a coat on, Olivier.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit warm in the car, but it's not too bad.
Yeah, okay. Get him a coat.
You make sure everyone's looked after down there, won't you, Joe? Always have respect and care for our fellow colleagues, drivers and commentators alike. Right, now, plenty happening, including the scrap for second position in G. Jeff Gordon showing no real signs of damage. Last time around a 138.2.
Tires, so I never changed tires, so it was really, really hard at the end to keep the car on the track. I was just sliding everywhere, so it was really bad, but I think the car is really good. With good tires, I could keep the pace of the leaders. I closed the gap with them a little bit, and it's just the beginning of the race. We just need to keep running as we're doing it, and I think we're going to have a good result at the end.
Alex, this may be a question that you wouldn't be able to answer, but why did you guys wait until, or why did you guys...
Fabulous show, as we expected it would do, with 27 cars entered, although we have a couple of those machines no longer running, I'm afraid to say. It is a class that is led by the number 29 Audi of Jules Gounod, and then Norbert Siedler in second position. Jens Klingmann for BMW is third, and the Ferrari of Christina Nielsen, former race leader, in fourth place. So Audi, Porsche, BMW, Ferrari, then Mercedes, 5 different manufacturers in the top 5. 21 hours and 41 minutes still to go as the 10 car driven by Jeff Gordon is heading down the back straight and into the braking area for the bus stop. Paul Truswell, I interrupted you a few moments ago, so can you remember that thought?
Yes, it was...
And Jeff Gordon cannot live with that pace at this stage. He's in the 140. He's been able to get down to 139 as well.
No, he's been doing 37s. He's been lapping at the same sort of pace, or 38 certainly anyhow.
So we shouldn't be concerned
no.
about any damage on that car. That was my only thought.
That's a good thought and very good point.
Yeah, I think we should maybe leave the jury out on that one, actually, Jeremy, because since the 2-hour mark, when the last yellow period finished, Gordon has been averaging 39.8, 1 minute 39.8, whereas Fittipaldi and Morris, as Johnny was just saying, pretty evenly matched, separated by around about 2/10 in terms of their average lap times in the 38.7s. So Jeff Gordon hasn't been able to match the pace, certainly, that Ricky Taylor was setting in that car earlier on. So either it's just because he's had the worst of the traffic, or the car might just have a little bit of an aero damage on it, which is affecting its lap times. But it is falling away a touch from the 31 and the 5 Action Express cars.
Yeah, no question, absolutely right. And whether Jeff is being cautious or whether he has damage, that will become apparent perhaps in a while.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing that we can't know is that because we are getting into the cooler conditions, we're heading into, I mean, it's still daylight, but getting towards dusk, sometimes teams try and anticipate how the conditions are going to change and perhaps put slightly different tyre pressures on the car, or make a little change, which is in anticipation. It doesn't always work quite as well, so one stint maybe can be a few tenths off the pace.
Tell you that Scott Sharp's got on board the car and is now back in the race. Here's Joe.
Hi Ryan, problems there for the ESM car. Can you tell us what?
Yeah, we actually don't know what happened yet. We just, the lap before that, I started to lose power, and then I believe we lost boost on one side, so everything's connected. So we sent Scott back out, see if maybe it fixed itself, but good. The car was running well. We're really good in the infield. I mean, clearly we're the best of the rest compared to what the Cadillacs have got, but happy with what we had first time.
Thank you, Jim. In the back of the number 5 car, the 31 leaving just ahead of it, Jeremy.
Yeah, and this time, the last pit stops were made under caution, weren't they? But the number 31 and number 5 car come in on the same lap, on lap 83. Number 10 car, however, Jeff Gordon did not, so has now taken the lead of the race. Jeff Gordon leads in car number 10. Will be, I'm sure, due a pit stop next time or the one after. But no, by not turning quite the same pace as the others, he might have saved a little bit of fuel, and we'll see how that transpires as the race progresses.
But I remember the first round of pit stops, Ricky Taylor was able to go a lap longer, was it, Paul?
Exactly right, a lap longer.
But not in the second round.
But then on the second stint, he came in a lap earlier than the others.
Oh, okay.
So, and then the third stint was foreshortened by the full course yellow. So that was kind of an enforced pit stop, as it were. So we're seeing that pattern repeating itself with Jeff Gordon staying out at the Wayne Taylor racing car.
And here he is onto pit lane now, the race leader.
That's the 90 car.
Oh, it is,
but
isn't
the
it? That's
10
right.
is about to appear, and Jim Roller is poised and ready to receive Jeff Gordon.
Indeed, Jeff Gordon was the man who had the big scrum around him. I couldn't believe that Shea was actually able to get an interview with Max Angelelli, because it was such a scrum around that car. I got pushed away twice, but no scrum now, just a very efficient pit crew working on the number 10 Minolta entry, and it's all smooth as clockwork. Fuel and tires this time, no driver change. Jeff Gordon will stay on board. It's going to be interesting to see Jeremy and Paul Truswell, just whether it's an engine mapping thing or whether, you know, Ricky Taylor has been known to get great mileage. There's more Cadillac music for you, Johnny.
Thank you.
Ricky Taylor has been known to get good mileage. He's a good peddler, and it'll be interesting to see how Jeff does in his 2 stints.
Meanwhile, the 90 car did indeed come in. Renger van der Zande bringing that car into pit lane, and we'll tell you in a moment whether there was a driver change for the 9-0, but the 1-0 has come in and out again. And Paul, at what stage are we as far as the tyres are concerned? We've seen generally double stinting of these Continentals, or as far as triple stinting them? You talked about triple stint for drivers. I presume the tyre therefore stays with them, does it, through the whole stint?
Yeah, I've seen only double stints on the prototypes thus far.
Okay.
But we'll keep on monitoring that. They are limited as to how many tyres they can use over the course of the race, and that may lead to them actually recycling the tyres. So using them, then using another set, then using another set, and then going back to the first set again.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there, Paul. And they have 36 sets for the weekend. I was talking to Ian Watt down at Action Express Racing shortly before the start of the race, and he was saying they're generally going to be changing tyres every pit stop. He said they kind of struggle to double stint them. I don't know whether you've noticed whether they have been changing the tyres.
There have been some double stints done by the Action Express guys.
Have there? Okay, well that's interesting, because that's not what he was expecting prior to the start of the race.
From 5th place, the Dragon Speed car is pitting, number 81 with Joe Now.
And what a great story it is behind this number 81 car. Complete tub rebuild, a brand new tub had to be brought in after Lloyd Duval hit the wall in qualifying, or was it indeed practice? They completely missed qualifying and started at the back of the grid. They're up to 5th place overall, and this car already in the hands of Ben Hanley for the first time. Fueling done, tyres already on. You'll hear it in the background. And the whole team just thankful after that all-nighter of completely rebuilding this car from literally like a modelling kit. Just a room full of bits and pieces, brought it all together, and were able to take part in this race. It's just a minor miracle in itself.
Some news on the 23 car, which left the pit box with equipment attached, we're hearing. That's the 23 Porsche, and the 48 was a stop, plus 2 laps for an improper final wave by. So, yeah, a penalty effectively for the 48 car. More stops happening though, chaps. The ESM car's been in and out. Jim Roller, what can you see?
The 55 car has come in, the Mazda number 55, that's the red one, along with the 911, the Porsche out of the GTLM class. Remember, that car had some troubles earlier in the race, so they're a little bit out of sequence with the rest of the GTLM cars. But the Mazda is right on sequence. They finished the stop. Now they've got in the Porsche pit, they've got a tire air hose that is disengaged and was blowing all around. It came off the tire jack that they had used to, the tire wrench that they had used to change tires, and that was a near catastrophe. They were able to step on the rope or step on the hose and get it under control, but he is away clean, as is the Mazda. Sorry about that, little distraction here as everything was getting blown around.
I'm not surprised. Make sure you keep yourself safe, Jim, but yeah, it sounds like quite a number of pit stops not going to plan. Just trying to get to the bottom of this 48 car then. It was a stop plus 2 laps for an improper final wave by.
Yeah, and that there are some cars that are eligible to overtake the leader and come on around, or not overtake the leader, overtake the safety car and come back on around, and others that are not, because he must have therefore
changed. No drama with the air hose. Fuel is almost done, and he'll be on his way.
Thank you, Jim. And Joe Bradley shaping up Brian Sellers for an interview very, very shortly. In fact, we can go to Joe now.
Yeah, Brian, just out of the number 48 Lamborghini. Brian, slight delay at the end of that pit stop there. Was that just getting dirt out of the ducting or something?
I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. We're really struggling right now for speed. From the beginning of the race, we thought maybe we were a little bit heavy on aero with the conditions, so we stopped early, trimmed out significantly, and it doesn't seem to make a big difference. We're, really...
Half seconds his lead over Christian Fittipaldi. That's not really changed by very much. Jeff Gordon about another 28 seconds or so back. Number 90 car is in 4th place. Number 55, having overtaken the 55. Number 81 car is in 6th place. Number 22 car in 7th. Ed Brown has just lost another lap to the overall leader, so he's now 2 laps behind. In GTLM, we've had a change there as a result of those, or following that recent round of pit stops. Number 66 car still leads. That is Dirk Mueller now having taken over finally from Joey Hand. He's got about a 6-second advantage over Ryan Briscoe, his teammate, who's moved ahead of the Risi Competizione Ferrari, driven now by James Collado.
Just getting news from Team Lexus, and I'm afraid it's bad news for the number 14 3GT Racing Lexus RCF. That car has been withdrawn from the race, chassis too badly damaged after the crash when Scott Pruitt was at the wheel, and Scott had complained that he got a nudge. He said, "I was just riding around minding my own business and got hit." I have to say, I watched that incident over and over again and couldn't see the contact between, it was a yellow Corvette behind the Lexus. Sometimes drivers can feel like they got nudged and in fact something breaks on the car, but I'm sure they'll investigate it, and
They did investigate. We could actually see them investigate it right next door. Yes, indeed. And if there was, it certainly appeared pretty clear that there wasn't any contact. However, I think we talked about it.
Seb Morris going quickly, because the gap back to the 3rd placed car of Jeff Gordon, we were suggesting he might not have been quite on the pace, but he is matching Fittipaldi's pace pretty well. But losing out to Seb Morris, so it's sort of those two that are running in 2nd and 3rd, matching each other. But
much traffic to deal with, and particularly when he's now in the fastest car.
Yes, used to racing GT3s and having to dodge around GT4s, but the speed differential that little bit larger here at Daytona when you're in the top class, and there are, well, over 20 GTDs still to negotiate. So Seb Morris leads after 101 laps by 21 seconds from the sister car at Action Express, Christian Fittipaldi in the number 5 machine. Jeff Gordon is 3rd in the number 10 car for Konica Minolta Cadillac DPI VR, in the renamed team, I suppose you could say. Initially entered as Wayne Taylor Racing as they appeared last year, but going with the sponsor from this point onwards.
And it will not be a driver change for the number 5, the Mustang sampling car, but for the 10, the Konica Minolta car, Max the Axe Angelelli getting ready for his first last stint at the 24 Hours of Daytona. He's done a lot of stints around here, getting strapped in new tires for the 5 and fuel. They go back out. The 10 still having work done, though. Both Cadillac GTIs sticker tires for Max, as the 85 JDC Miller Motorsports car comes down as well. Fuel still going on for Max. Car stayed running, as it is good to do. And Max goes out. The number 90 Visit Florida team car has also come in as well.
Guys, we're leading. You get in the car, Jeff, and we're all watching. And what did you see from your perspective?
These restarts are crazier than NASCAR restarts. I mean, in NASCAR, you can bump and you can bang and you can move people out of the way, but, you know, certainly I wanted to be a little bit cautious because I knew I was on cold tires and I don't have the experience some of these other guys do. I chose to go the outside. That was not a good move. I saw those other cars, the Cadillacs, go by me on the inside. I was like, no. And, you know, then the tires are sliding around pretty good when I went into turn 3. And I knew I was going to lock up the fronts a little bit. I just didn't anticipate that Mazda, you know, going so slow coming off pit road. And I feel sorry that I got into him and spun him. But thankful we don't have more damage. And that, from that point on, just, you know, caught my breath, settled in. And, you know, I just wish I had more laps in these cars before the race started because, man, about halfway through that first stint, I started getting it and started really finding speed. And that second stint was just awesome fun. And I hope they put me back in there again because I had so much fun.
So you'll have to wait for the call. Jeff, it's not easy for a driver like you to just jump in. You showed me yesterday 7 pages just showing you what knobs do, how the radio works. What was it like for you to finally get in the car under race conditions and put it all to use?
Yeah, I was just so glad I didn't have to mess with too many of those buttons. You know, they gave me a different map to do. Luckily, it was under caution. You know, there's a few things that you do every time that when I got in the car in practice or testing, I kind of got used to doing. But then they started talking to me about, you know, some brake bias and some roll bars. And I'm glad I was able to play with them because it did help. And you know, there is fall off in these cars. Even though they maintain a good lap time throughout a run, they do slide around a little bit as the tires start to fall off. So I thought that was where I was at my best when the tires started falling off. So that was a blast. I just got to go faster when the tires come in the early part of the run. So I'll work on that next time out.
These cars are so technical. We look forward to seeing you get back in a bit.
Thank you very much.
PC car.
Oh, this is one of the Starworks car.
Okay.
Predominantly pink.
Oh,
it's pink.
It's full on pink, is it? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Fine. I didn't know whether some of the PC cars had little flashes of pink.
Well, no, it's pink and white, I guess, but it's pink.
And it was facing the wrong way for a while. But
well, it's going again. That's good
true,
news.
yeah. And the driver has got it pointing in the right direction. It's going again. Back down to Shea. As the rain pours down, Shea, you've got a pit stopper.
Yeah, the number 10 came in, the Konica Minolta car. Jordan Taylor got out, and Jeff Gordon got in behind the wheels. So he's going out onto a wet racetrack with wet rain tires. That's not something he would be very familiar with in race conditions at the very least.
Yeah, good point you make. Of course, the quadruple NASCAR champion, Jeff Gordon, not a great deal of rain that he will have dealt with in his racing career. So this is going to be fascinating to watch. I'm sure he'll be able to deal with it, but there's going to have to be 1 or 2 kind of exploratory laps, I'm guessing, just to work out where the grip is. And then he can really push on. But that car being brought into pit lane from the lead of the race, Jordan Taylor handing over to Jeff Gordon, who is just threading his way through pit out now and about to head to the International Horseshoe. And he's going to be pursued by Philippe Albuquerque in the 5 car.
Oh man, this is a real test for Jeff Gordon, isn't it? I mean, as you say, he's just not used to these sort of conditions. I mean, he's very good. He's a supremely talented driver, that we do know, in any sort of car, in any sort of conditions. But boy, this really is a tough ask for the guy.
He will have driven a lot of loose race cars, though.
On the dirt as well, so car control's not a problem.
Correct, but it's just a case of, as I say, familiarising yourself with how much or how little grip is out there. We'll give him a couple of laps, and I think we're then going to see him well and truly in the groove, just easing his way out of the Western Horseshoe and then up onto the banking, which again will be very, very weird, I'm sure, in the wet. And the bright headlights out of the front of the Konica Minolta car really focusing in on the amount of rain that is pouring down. We've got this great visual as well from floodlights just above our commentary box, which illuminate, I heard John Hindhaugh saying earlier, almost what looks like sleet or snow. but it is quite heavy rain, it would appear. Now up onto the banking, and this sorts the men from the boys in the wet, needing the windscreen wiper on at times, braking nice and early for the bus stop, and has the 5 car right behind him, down as Jeff Gordon, so needs to really get familiar with these conditions as quickly as possible. Allows the 5 car through. That's actually probably not too bad a move to make, and just you can follow the 5 car there and allow Philippe Albuquerque to make the mistake.
Yeah, well, quite particularly as Albuquerque, he knows these conditions now. He's been out there. This is a double stint for the Portuguese, so he's comfortable, he's in the groove, and if Jeff can learn from him, that'll be good.
I think that's a canny bit of strategy there. Maybe got the call from the spotter or the team manager to say, allow Philippe through, and then try and stay with him. Half a second is the gap between the 5 and the 10.
Car number 5.
Okay, can I just see a car stopped on track there? We may get more news on that in just a second. I don't think it was one of the key.
It's not raining hard, whereas the infield is very, very slippery, even with a light covering of rain. So you've basically got more or less a dry line on the banking, running on rain tires all the way around, generating high load in the rear, or the right side of the car, and then basically a wet track in the infield. Super hard to call the tire choice, and having driven the car on slicks in those conditions on the infield and just watch everybody driving around me, you know, wasn't really the right time to come in for dries, and now it's raining again hard. So I think we made the right tire call, we're just unlucky.
Thanks, Robin. We're going to continue with our Continental Tire Pit report. Shea Adam.
Jordan Taylor, fresh out of the number 10 Konica Minolta Cadillac DPI. What were track conditions like from your point of view?
I mean, when I got out of the car, it was actually starting to dry out. The apex of turn 6 was dry. The whole middle of the bus stop was pretty dry, so you could kind of feel the front taking over and gaining grip. And then as soon as I got out, it started raining again, so I think it's back to full wet. Not like wet, but damp. My whole stint was kind of just greasy. It wasn't full wet conditions, so we were kind of taking it easy, very little risk, especially in traffic, because cars with the ABS can brake deeper than us in some places, so it was tricky, but I mean, right now we're just trying to save the car and get to the end.
When will you get back in?
I'm not sure. I'm hanging around now just in case it gets heavy rain, and Ricky and Max are still back there, so I could get right back in, but Jeff's doing a great job. He was nervous about the rain from 2007, but at the Roar he got in, he was quick in the wet, and now he's right on the pace, so he's making us all proud.
Good luck for the rest of the race.
Thank you.
That's exactly what we said, wasn't it? Give him a couple of laps, find his feet, and I hadn't realised he'd also done some wet weather testing effectively at the Roar as well. So, and what you tend to find, speaking to the drivers here, is that the rain accumulates in very similar places, particularly on the infield. And once you know where those sort of secret puddles are, and you know to avoid them, then you should be absolutely fine. A great skyline, Jeremy, as we look out from our commentary box, because the fireworks have started, an annual highlight of the Rolex 24 hours. Just a little before 10 o'clock, these fireworks kicked in, and we've now got 16 hours and a half to go.
What are you talking about? We've had fireworks all the way through the day, haven't
Quite
we?
right, yes, absolutely right. But the skies now, despite the rain pouring down, just given a bit of light. Some blue, some pink, some red ones. Ooh, R's and bangs.
Jeff Gordon, up until that last lap, when he just blotted his copybook a little bit with a slower one, was indeed doing the team proud. Felipe Albuquerque's times 51.2 since his pit stop. Bruno Senna in the number 22 ESM Nissan is in the 51.8s, and Jeff Gordon's average lap time now going out to a 1:54, so he's not quite as quick as Bruno, and he's losing ground quite quickly now from Felipe Albuquerque.
That average so for Albuquerque would have been mangled somewhat for not 8, so he must have had some sort of a mishap, or somebody else had a mishap in front of him perhaps.
To avoid,
yeah, so something like that, but anyway, he seems to have got away with it.
During my break of the last, 3 hours, I did spend a little bit of time on the bleachers down in the middle of the infield there. Slippery on the foot, I had to be careful because it's all metalwork, of course, but plenty of cars running deep into the International Horseshoe, not actually running off the track, just scampering around, just finding the grip, and you know, just a little tiny off like that can cost you, as you say, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 seconds. So it could have been in that sort of area.
Indeed.
And it's one of those mistakes you kind of make, and are well aware of it then for the rest of your stint. Another quick update from Shea Adam. What have you got at your end of the pit lane?
Another car that came back out from behind the wall. This would be the 80.
You here at Daytona as a 16-year-old in a Porsche GT car, so kind of back to his roots, if you like.
Yeah,
but so he leads the way. Number 93, Acura in second place. Mark Wilkins currently driving that car, and only 3 seconds behind. And in third place, with having made a pit stop and one more pit stop than the 2 cars ahead of him, one the Mark Wilkins certainly, is Colin De Filippi. So he's cycling back up the order as the other cars pit. So that's the car number 29 now, third place in GTD. And Ben Keating has taken over the wheel of number 33, Mercedes, in fourth. Ahead of Justin Marks in the BMW, Jack Hawksworth in the Lexus, and Christina Nielsen at the wheel of the number 63 Ferrari.
By the way, Colin Brown and Mark Wilkins, Shea Adam reminds me, have some history here at Daytona. 2014, they were together in a driver combination and managed to be victorious in the PC class. That was 3 years ago now, and all of a sudden find themselves as rivals.
For his class with a restart. Our data told us that I was in front of the leader. They studied it. It wasn't a hasty decision, and they told me to pass the pace car, commence the pass around, so we went all the way around, and apparently the data that we had, the official IMSA timing, was incorrect. That's an awfully harsh reality for us. If in fact there was an error in timing and scoring, it's the only information my team has to make that decision.
So it's the team's decision, the team works it out. It's not like the officials tell the team work it out, and they work out that you're ahead of the class leader and wave you around. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's really nothing to work out. You look at the timing monitor, and if we are ahead of the class leader, which it indicated we were, and we're having some issues communicating, so it's one way right now on the radio. So there was no conversation, but I can hear the command to go. So just unfortunate. Luckily, it's not in the final 6 hours, so we'll see if we can fight back. Tough conditions out there.
Thank you, Joe. That was the Alex Job Racing crew, and as Townsend Bell said, he had the call several times. You just obey what the team says, but just a slight miscalculation. That's the way the cookie crumbles, I suppose, sometimes.
Yeah, apparently so. I mean, you know, like we take his word, he takes the word of his crew, same sort of thing. You know, whether or not he actually overtook the race leader in GTD while doing so, you know, he probably doesn't know, because conditions out there, it's difficult. You just do what you're told, yeah, and get on with it. And really, unfortunately, there's been at least 2 other cars have had that penalty. I think Spencer Piggott had one in the number 55 Mazda, and somebody else much earlier in the race.
It's interesting, and you know, there's obviously a wide variety of quality of drivers out there as well. So you're constantly gauging yourself. You know, who you're racing is changing all the time. But so far, so good, and we're looking forward to the rest of the race.
Thanks, Jack.
Straight to Shea at the other end of the pit lane, because the 5 Shea has been in, just leaving now, in fact. What was the reason for that stop?
A right rear Continental tire that should not look like it currently does. Unfortunately, Philippe Albuquerque was not due to come into the pits this soon. He was livid as he got out of the car, but there is almost nothing left of that tire where it should be. It's the carcass actually stayed very well intact in terms of staying on the tire, but it is a mess.
That has put Jeff Gordon then into the lead in the number 10 Konica Minolta Cadillac DPI VR. And Jeff Gordon, you know, he's just pounding around there, 51s, 50s, 52s, and keeping his nose clean. You know, that will be his focus during this stint. He knows how difficult the conditions are. He's really in the deep end here, so he is absolutely cognizant of the fact that the Taylor brothers, Ricky and Jordan, they're going for a championship. Jeff Gordon doesn't want to be the one who makes the mistake that could potentially jeopardize any championship challenge. So, you know, his number one focus is conserving everything.
Yeah, true, and I suppose to a certain extent, even just for this race in isolation, survival at this point is the name of the game, particularly with such unpredictable conditions.
But he has lost a lap to the leaders. He's down now in the 4th position in actual fact, because Bruno Senna is back on the lead lap, and Mark Goosens is still 1 lap down in car number 90. But we saw that car slow a little while ago, but it's obviously picked up speed again because he's still out there on track.
Yes, he's managed to get the number 90 car going again, and those two, Jeremy, I reckon, are now on the same lap. The 90 and the number 5 running in 3rd and 4th places, with the Visit Florida car ahead of the number 5 Action Express car.
Indeed so, that's absolutely right after that second stop for the number 5. Yes, indeed, I agree with that. Bruno Senna's last lap, by the way, a 1:48.
Whipped off his helmet. Mark, going well, he's okay. Mark, quick word. That was a very, very good stint for you, but right at the end you had a bit of a kind of a stall where the car seemed to go slow for about half a lap. What was the problem?
No, nothing, as I had to avoid contact with another car. By accident I hit a pit speed limiter, so that's why we slowed down for a little bit there on 2 laps before the end of the stint. But I mean, the car's running on
0. We are on the final lap. That is confirmed. But the leaders are so close here. 1.5 seconds has become maybe a second as they head into Speedway Turn 1.
And in GTD a couple of laps ago, it looked like the Porsche of Michael Christensen had a pretty comfortable 2-second advantage. They're going down into Turn 5, and there's less than a car length between those two in a battle for GTD.
So final time right down the back straight. This is going to be a first win for Cadillac Power and a 7th for GM engined efforts under 4 different brands: Chevrolet, Pontiac, Oldsmobile and New Cadillac. Just the question is, which one's going to win it? Ricky Taylor surely has enough from here. It is going to be so tight. Remember, this is a 24-hour race. They're coming out of Speedway Turn 4 now. It's going to be Wayne Taylor Racing to take a victory they came so close to just a couple of years ago. Over the line they go, with the checkered flag being displayed to Ricky Taylor, who wins the Rolex 24 by 0.671 of a second. And Wayne Taylor cannot believe it down there in Wayne Taylor Racing's pit garage.
To be honest, I'm just proud of my brother. He made it happen today, and this all goes out to Konica Minolta and for Cadillac. It's great. I'm speechless.
Congratulations.
He's not normally speechless, Jordan Taylor, but you can hear the emotion there in his voice. Boy, that was a hard-won victory, John.
Oh, magic stuff. And Johnny Palmer, we've sent him for a lie down in a darkened room. Marvellous stuff from Johnny Palmer. Coming up, Michelin post-race tech. Keep the questions coming in at IMSA Radio, hashtag Michelin PRT. The whole team are getting on the Dallara Cadillac to head to
John, it's Nick. Can you throw? I'm going to try to throw your hand.
And Nick Damon talking to us there. Nick, that was on air.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know I was on air. I do apologise. Down now with in the celebration of Ford. Just trying to go a quick word with Joey Ham from the 66. Joey, fantastic result. You've won yourself a watch.
Oh man, this is. I told my family I left.
GTLM was nearly 3 seconds, but then to second to third places 0.091. And as Johnny Palmer said, after 24 hours of racing, that kind of closeness, absolutely unbelievable. Admittedly, slightly spoiled because of the 21 safety car periods, but nevertheless, I mean, it's great entertainment and absolutely on the edge of our seats for the whole race.
Hit the nail on the head there, Paul. Great entertainment. 2 hours and 40 minutes or thereabouts, just under actually, in terms of a weather-related delay. Let's get back down to our pit lane reporter. Shea Adam will be elbowing her way through the scrum. She does have the sharpest elbows in the business. Shea, where are you?
I'm standing in front of the winning car, John, waiting for them to roll it into the victory lane so that Ricky Taylor can get out of the car and we can have a word with him. But I said to Max Angelelli before the race began, I'm going to ask you tomorrow what time it is. And I saw him on the way over, and he said, I'll tell you in about 10 minutes.
And in part four, Nico Bull, who won with the 38 Winging Prototype Challenge. Well, in many ways, that seemed quite easy.
You know, it was a long race. This is one of those 2 times around the clock, a lot can go wrong. But we all drove really smart. I'm told we had the second youngest lineup ever. And to come here and win with, last year was my first time here. And this year we had yeah, 2 guys who'd never been here before, so we kept it clean, and here we are.
Great result, thank you. Well done.
Thank you.
We've got the GTD team with Michael Christensen. Oh, sorry, yeah, Michael Christensen, John. Congratulations. That was a stealth attack there. You were nowhere a few hours ago.
Yeah, I know. We all planned this out from the start, that we always wanted to come to the finish with a perfect car, and the crew did an amazing job, just doing no mistakes in the pit lane, and all the drivers did an amazing job to keep the car in one piece. And yeah, in the end, I just had to bring it home, really.
An absolutely genuine, proper Pro-Am teams won the race.
I would say so. You know, I'm so proud of them. They just got the car 2 tests ago, and we obviously had to catch up a lot in the tests coming up to this race, but they've done a phenomenal job, and all of them just trust each other, and yeah, well done.
Michael, enjoy it. Thank you.
Wayne Taylor, your face at the end of that race was so emotional, and your celebration with Shelley. Talk about when you thought that pass wasn't going to stick.
I never thought it was. I knew it was going to stick. It was a really good move by Ricky, and you know, thank the officials also from.
What an amazing experience! This experience wouldn't have been the same without Wayne and his passion for this series, for this race. Cadillac and Delar for this amazing race car. Not just a fast car and a beautiful car, but the strongest car I've ever seen in my life, because I tried to damage the left front. Of course, the contact there at the end, but I'm just so honored to be a part of this.
Jordan, that was what a masterclass race management, but not without his ups and downs.
That was amazing. I mean, it's great to be back here at Daytona with Cadillac and Konica Minolta, and you know, first race back, we win it with Jeff Gordon. My brother Ricky had some awesome moves, and what a better way to send Max off on retirement.
With more people from the podium.
I have 2 people standing who are battling just with, who are actually not much further apart now than they were in the last lap. It's Patrick Pilet and James Collado from the 911 and the 62. Patrick, that was you almost won it, but you almost came third. End up with second. Happy?
No. We're never happy when we finish second, especially when you have a watch to win when you're first. But no, I mean, I'm proud of the work of all the guys. It's the first time of this car. I give everything to try to overtake the Ford, but to be honest, there's no chance for us to follow. It was too quick. And I destroyed completely my tire trying to catch him, and then James come back really quickly at the end, but just maintain the second place was a minimum for the team and for Porsche.
Patrick, thank you very much. James, incredibly fair fight at the end, and that close to getting another step up.
Yeah. Except you're at the very edge. And for example, at a sporting event or whatever, instead of looking at the stadium, turn around and you're looking out the back. Right. So you're right on the edge of the fence, and it drops down, and you're right. You know, your stadium in that respect is behind you, or for what we're doing in front of me.
You're not scared of heights, clearly.
No. No.
I could not do your job. You know how frightened of heights, frightened of the heights that I am.
But that being said, the camera's anchored down. I'm tethered. In fact, in some of the places we go, I have a full harness that I wear, depending from a safety standpoint. But here it's a belt, and I'm tethered back to, so I can't get too far over the edge. And like I said, there's fences there and whatever.
I can't get
holding
too far over the edge. Jeremy is giggling nervously as I am. Not a chance that you or I would do that. We once had to do a stand-up on the edge of Road America, and I was petrified doing. I think you shot that, didn't you?
I know I was. Oh yeah, I think I was.
And Roller kept saying, just take hand off back a bit. And I'm going, stop it. Stop it now.
And that wasn't that high up.
Oh, I thought it was high. And listen, when I got my tiptoes, I get a little bit worried. It's around. Sometimes it takes a long time.
I could just see the excitement when I talked to Jeff after the test down there a few weeks ago, because he knew that race car was fast, and it backed it up throughout those 24 hours. And the thing, he drove 2 stints. He did a double stint, but the thing I'm anxious to ask him about is that stint he did Saturday night in the rain. Now, the other thing I want to ask him about, I've heard of drivers carrying lucky pennies and rabbit foot, maybe as a lucky charm. Ella, his daughter, lost a tooth before the race started. He took that tooth, and that's what he carried in his driver's uniform, so maybe he's going to start a new trend here.
How cool. And he's joined a lead company. Now Jeff, along with Jamie McMurray,
AJ Foyt and Mario Andretti, the only drivers to win in the Rolex 24 and also the Daytona 500. That is an amazing honor.
It's some pretty good company he's keeping. And you mentioned the one start back in 2007. He finished third in that race, the team he was driving for. So think about it. 2 starts in the Rolex, 2 podium finishes.
Yeah, Jeff Gordon will be on our show right here in Houston on Thursday to talk all about it.
I'm going to ask him, hey, Jeff, what time is it? Over, right? Let's save that one.
It is amazing, though, Larry. You talk about that overnight stint. The conditions were treacherous. These sports car drivers were saying it was some of the worst they've ever experienced. Jeff, it was freezing. It was raining. The conditions, you could hardly see out the windshield. Jeff was putting up lap times that were consistent with guys in the top 3. These are some of the best sports car racers in the world, and Jeff was right there.
But I'm not surprised. Daniel Hill, his entire Cup career, he was all in all the time. His year with our Fox Sports team with NASCAR, all in all the time. I think Jeff Gordon, when he has his dinner, he's all in all the time. He's always 100% committed to what he's doing.